Do you know exactly how much a human life is worth on the international black market? It's not millions of dollars. It's exactly $42. That is the precise wholesale factory price of a standard crate of Soviet-era 7.62 millimeter ammunition. For $42, you can alter the geopolitical destiny of an entire third world nation. I know this because for nearly a decade, I was the man signing the shipping manifests that made it happen. But the ultimate paradox of my life didn't happen in a dark, rain-slicked alley or a blood-stained war zone. It happened at 26,000 feet over the freezing, silent waters of the Caspian Sea, inside the pressurized luxury cabin of a private Gulfstream jet. The explosion itself didn't make a sound. In a single fraction of a second, the decompression tore the fuselage wide open, and the ambient temperature dropped to minus 40 degrees. As the oxygen masks dropped and the aircraft entered a fatal, violent terminal dive toward the water, I looked up at the burning luggage compartment. I didn't panic. Instead, a terrifying wave of absolute realization washed over me. I knew the exact brand of the explosive compound. I knew the remote factory in Ukraine where it was manufactured. I even knew the corrupted shipping broker who smuggled it past aviation security. It was a military-grade thermite charge hidden inside the false bottom of a black leather briefcase that my own mentor had handed to me 3 hours prior. I was being systematically assassinated by the very supply chain I had spent my entire adult life building. My name has been officially erased from every government registry on Earth, but my confession remains. Today, I am going to pull back the curtain on the multi-billion-dollar shadow architecture of the international arms trade. This is not a world of uneducated, violent men trading rusty rifles in underground bunkers. That is the myth Hollywood wants you to believe to keep you blind. The real game is played by sophisticated, cold-blooded operators wearing $5,000 bespoke Italian suits, holding master's degrees in corporate finance, and manipulating international maritime law, while drinking vintage champagne in luxury penthouses in Dubai.
To understand how a middle-class kid ended up dying in a falling luxury jet, you have to look at the hidden sins of my father. Growing up, I genuinely believed he was a standard, boring logistics colonel for the military. But his real job was far more sinister. He was a ghost coordinator for unmonitored cross-border government shipments. He would disappear for 3 or 4 months at a time, returning to our home in the dead of night, smelling of aviation fuel, cheap foreign tobacco, and high-grade gun oil. He never talked about his work, but his desk was always covered in hand-drawn tactical maps of the Colombian jungle, the Angolan border, and safe houses along the Lebanese coastline. When I turned 19, his luck finally ran out. The official report said he died in a tragic single-vehicle accident on an unlit road near the Amazonian border. The vehicle caught fire, burning every single piece of identification.
At his military funeral, under a suffocating gray rain, a pale man with a severe South African accent walked up to me. Without making eye contact, he slipped a heavy, cold black USB flash drive into my coat pocket and whispered a single sentence: "Your father's final ledger. The network is waiting." Locked inside my bedroom that night, I plugged the drive into an offline laptop. What I found altered my DNA forever. It contained an encrypted cold storage Bitcoin wallet holding exactly $2.7 million. But more importantly, it held a highly classified digital directory of deep state black market contacts, private freight pilots, corrupt customs officials, and weapon factory managers across Eastern Europe. It also contained a final audio file from my father. His voice was cracked, heavy with exhaustion, telling me that the money wasn't an inheritance. It was an operational obligation. I didn't just inherit wealth that night. I inherited a front row seat to global slaughter.
I took the money, bought a one-way ticket to Dubai, and aligned myself with Kareem, my father's former partner. Kareem looked like a Wall Street hedge fund manager, and he taught me the most important lesson of the gray market. Amateur criminals sell weapons illegally, which gets them hunted by Western intelligence. True professionals sell weapons completely legally to the wrong destinations. The entire multi-million-dollar illusion relies on a single piece of paper called the end-user certificate. Our operation was beautiful in its simplicity. We would approach a legitimate state-owned weapons factory in Serbia or Bulgaria and place a massive order for 500 pristine assault rifles and 10,000 mortar shells. We had perfectly forged diplomatic paperwork stating that the official buyer was a certified defense contractor in Romania for national security training. The factory was happy, the banks were happy, and the Western regulators approved the transaction. But the Romanian company was a shell entity, consisting of nothing but a digital mailbox. The cargo planes would take off from Europe, fly over international waters, turn off their civilian tracking transponders, and divert directly to dirt strips in Central Africa or South America to arm corporate-backed militias. I never physically touched a weapon. I dealt in clean bank routing codes, international wire transfers, and forged maritime stamps. By the age of 28, the money was blinding. I lived in a sprawling duplex overlooking the Persian Gulf, drove a rare white Koenigsegg supercar, and wore a custom Audemars Piguet watch that cost more than a suburban house. The hidden, bloody world my father died for had become my playground. I sat across from brutal generals and suffocating warehouses in Luanda, casually negotiating contracts that would redefine national borders, entirely focused on my 3% commission. But in the shadow economy, assets are temporary and liabilities are eliminated. The ground began to shift when Interpol quietly froze a secondary corporate account I managed in Luxembourg, and an unidentified Western intelligence team was spotted photographing my apartment building in Dubai. Kareem panicked. The system was tightening. He told me we needed to liquidate our positions and organized an immediate escape on an unregistered private jet routing through Iranian airspace to drop off radar. During that flight, as we skirted the border, an unguided anti-aircraft missile detonated near our airspace. The shrapnel tore through the right-wing fuel tank, causing a massive vibration. We survived by pure engineering luck, making an emergency landing at a restricted military strip. That was the exact moment the abstraction of my computer screens vanished. The war wasn't a spreadsheet anymore. It was actively hunting me. The next morning, Kareem told me to stay calm and take a secondary connecting flight to Istanbul. He handed me a small, heavy black briefcase, claiming it contained proprietary defense software encryption codes for a high-value client. As the aircraft climbed over the Caspian Sea,
my phone picked up a brief, delayed satellite signal. It was a text message from an untraceable number, containing a single photograph. It showed Kareem, smiling broadly, sharing a casual coffee at a cafe with the exact same Western intelligence agent who had orchestrated the raid on my assets in Dubai. The timestamp on the digital file was 18 days old.
My blood turned to pure ice. My mentor hadn't saved me. He had packaged me. I was the sacrifice offered to the authorities to clean his own record and keep the pipeline running. I rushed to the overhead bin, tore open the false lining of the briefcase, and stared at the blinking red countdown of a military thermite device. There was no time left to pray. The legacy of my father instantly turned into a blinding cloud of ash at 30,000 feet. The aircraft vanished from the radar. But in Dubai, that exact same night, the bank accounts kept balancing. The machine of war doesn't stop for a single corpse.